as developments are coming up, there are also contradicting statements and escalations that are being reported. And now what we are learning further is that the IDF's announcement of the siren sounded in Israel has come after the explosions that were heard in multiple Iranian cities. 3 loud explosions that have been heard in Iran's capital Tehran shortly after the Israeli army issued an evacuation warning for the city's central 7th district. Iranian state media also reported that Israel attacks on multiple locations across the country, including Karaj in western Tehran, the northwestern city of Urmia in West Azerbaijan, and province in Rasht in northern Iran, while other parts of Gilan province as well. All right, on that note, this is also important to see that in the coming hours, how does another following statement, if it comes from the United States, establish clarity? Well, on that, in fact, I have my guest, and very good morning to Group Captain V.N. Jha for joining me live on the telecast. Now, we are looking at all these developments with an eye closely fixated at what is the final outcome of the entire escalation after 12 days of rounds and barrages of missiles. Trump declared the ceasefires minutes after each side threatened new attacks. That in itself is a big point and subject to look at the developments, which clearly are not in alignment of these announcements. So, what side do we firmly believe at? Group Captain V.N. Jha.
Very good morning, Simran, to all your viewers. Look, what Trump has said about the ceasefire doesn't carry much of meaning because there is no document signed by any of the parties, and at least Iran has negated any ceasefire. But there is a precedence to it because there was a UN resolution moved for ceasefire, and there was no vetoing expected in this particular resolution when it was being discussed. So possibly Trump, as usual, has jumped the guns. He has preempted something what may be happening. But yes, there is a possibility of ceasefire because to my understanding, most of the objectives of Israel have been achieved in this Iranian conflict. Besides, suppose the terrorist thing, Israel has mounted these attacks essentially to obliterate the nuclear ambition of Iran, and that they have been able to do it with the help of US strikes onto the 3 installations. We must not forget that the obligations of Israel to knock out all Iranian sites have not been achieved, as all the panelists have said. But mostly, if I go one by one, Israel itself had knocked out SPND headquarters of nuclear activities, Turkuzabad, Fordo top floor pilot project, Natanz, Khondav, Mubarakiyah, all these were knocked out in the first instance itself, and US followed by knocking out the Fordo underground installation, where it was believed that that is the place where 90% of the uranium is enriched there, and all uranium which was already enriched to 90% grade were also kept at Fordo in the underneath the surface about 100 meters out, because that is the safest place Iran has. How much of it has been removed, that we will talk later, but all these sites have been hit, and hit effectively. Thereafter, Lavisan, Ardakan, that is the Bashar, and Anarak also have been hit by Israel. So there is no doubt that all the majority of the installations have been hit, which have been processing uranium 60% and more. There are still Shian, Abde, and Parchin, which are reprocessing to the tune of 30 to 60%, which have not yet been hit to my knowledge, where Israel was keen to hit all these things, but it has got some other repercussions of in case of the leakage and other things happen that will contaminate the sea. So Israel itself was not very keen to hit there, but they would wish that all these are knocked out. So as far as the Israeli objectives are concerned, all nuclear sites which have got direct threat of Iran becoming a nuclear power has been hit, so that objective is met. Now, the Iranian objective of retaliating has by and large been achieved, because we also must know that in the many strikes onto the missile sites, missile manufacturing sites, missile storage sites, launchers, Israel has inflicted heavy damages onto the Iran. So very little of the capability is left on Iran to hit back the Israel. I'm talking of a target which is nearly more than 1,200 kilometers aerial distance. So all these have been by and large now achieved. Iran has shown its anger after the US strike by hitting Israel at various places, and many missiles have hit Israel. So objectives, the broad objectives have been met, but only if there has to be a ceasefire, there will be some document, some agreement will have to be signed by the two representatives. So these two have to agree. Israel will agree what USA says. If USA says that they will be ceasefire, Israel now will have no hesitation in signing the ceasefire. Iran will have to agree. Iran is feeling, very aggrieved, wounded, but that has got no reason to be so, because Iran was as such violating the NPT that it had signed. Under the NPT, they should not have gone to the manufacturing or acquiring the power of nuclear ability. So, everyone is at the fault, including USA. USA also has accelerated powers of becoming a superpower by hitting Iranian sites, because it is no police. But we have to realize that there is no UN Security Council these days. There is no UN forces which is effective to stop any of the wars. So I wish this particular war comes to an end. I wish what US president has said about the ceasefire comes to in play. Maybe today we will see more movement towards it, but by and large, it will be a welcome step in case of the ceasefire is seized. As far as the strike onto the places in Qatar was concerned, yes, Qatar had been hit by Iranian missiles, but we have to also remember, just about 5 days back, US had moved many of its fighter jets, which were not in the hardened shelters, out from Qatar. Qatar had that the air base where many of the US fighters were there. So it had moved out those fighters which were in open, not in the hardened shelters. So I suppose not much of the harm has been done, much of the damage has been done onto the US air base. So I see no reason for the war to come to a ceasefire.
All right.
I'll just another half a minute. As far as the hitting the naval assets of US is concerned, Bahrain had a lot of naval fleets, which also have been moved away from there. So there is nothing much that Iran can achieve by continuing with the violence, with the attacks. It will receive the hit back. In case if USA assets are hit, there is no doubt that USA will again hit the Iran. And if Iran is being hit by both USA and Israel, it will have a major damage onto it. So they will not dare to do that.
All right. Group Captain Vienja, in fact, thank you very much for putting this in perspective, contextualizing the latest developments for our viewers. If we talk about, in fact, all of these round of updates that are coming from the conflicted region of the Middle East.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.